The kingdom of Eldoria was known for its lush green meadows and sparkling rivers. The air was always filled with the sweet songs of birds. The people of Eldoria were happy and kind. They lived in peace under the rule of their beloved King Alaric. King Alaric was known throughout the land for his gentle heart. He always had a smile for his people, and he listened to their troubles with patience and understanding. His wisdom and compassion made Eldoria a shining example of a prosperous and joyful kingdom. Children loved to hear stories of their kind king. King Alaric believed in treating all creatures with respect and kindness. Just as we care for each other, he often said, we must also care for the creatures big and small that share our world. This belief, known as Alaric's Golden Rule, was deeply ingrained in the hearts of the people of Eldoria. One sunny afternoon, King Alaric decided to take a walk through the forest. He loved to immerse himself in the beauty of nature. The sunlight filtered through the leaves, creating a dappled pattern on the forest floor. The air was fresh and carried the scent of pine and wildflowers. As he strolled along the path, he heard a faint whimpering. He stopped to listen, his heart filled with concern. The sound seemed to be coming from deeper within the woods. Guided by the sound, King Alaric ventured off the main path. Pushing aside a curtain of ferns, King Alaric discovered a small, trembling creature huddled beneath a bush. It was a tiny dog, its fur matted and dirty. The dog was thin and weak, its ribs showing through its coat. It whimpered again, its eyes filled with fear and sadness. King Alaric's heart melted with compassion. He gently reached out his hand, speaking in a soft, soothing voice. The dog hesitated for a moment, then cautiously crept towards the king's hand, sniffing it tentatively. King Alaric felt a connection with the small creature. He knew he couldn't leave it to fend for itself. Scooping the dog into his arms, King Alaric cradled it gently. The dog, sensing his kindness, snuggled into the crook of the king's arm. As he carried the dog back to the castle, King Alaric decided to name him Pip. He knew in his heart that Pip would be a loyal and loving companion. Back at the castle, King Alaric ensured Pip was bathed and fed. He made a cozy bed for Pip in his own chambers. Pip, overwhelmed by the king's kindness, responded with a level of devotion that was heartwarming to witness. He followed the king everywhere, his little tail wagging incessantly. Pip quickly became a beloved fixture in the castle. The courtiers adored him, and even the most serious guards couldn't help but smile at Pip's playful antics. But Pip's loyalty remained with King Alaric. He was the king's constant companion, a furry shadow by his side whether the king was reviewing royal decrees or enjoying a quiet evening by the fire. News of King Alaric's kindness towards Pip spread throughout the kingdom. The people were inspired by their ruler's compassion, and it further solidified their love and respect for him. However, a difficult time lay ahead for the kingdom of Eldoria, a time that would test their resilience and prove the strength found in unity and kindness. The following summer, the rains that usually nourished the land of Eldoria failed to arrive. The once bountiful rivers dwindled to a trickle. The fields, once lush and green, turned brown and brittle under the relentless sun. A great drought had descended upon Eldoria, bringing with it hardship and despair. King Alaric was deeply troubled by the plight of his people. He used the royal treasury to buy grain from neighboring kingdoms, ensuring everyone had enough to eat. He sent out teams to search for new sources of water. He spent sleepless nights worrying about his people, his heart heavy with their suffering. Pip, sensing the king's worries, stayed by his side. He would often rest his head on the king's lap, looking up at him with comforting eyes. In these difficult times, Pip's unwavering companionship brought solace to the king's troubled heart. One day, news reached the castle that a group of villagers had gone into the mountains, desperation driving them to search for a hidden spring they believed existed. They had not returned, and it was feared they were lost in the treacherous mountain paths. King Alaric immediately organized a rescue party. He, along with a group of his most experienced guards, set out towards the mountains. Pip, as always, was by the king's side. The journey was arduous, the heat beating down on them relentlessly. The once familiar paths were now treacherous, littered with loose rocks and hidden crevices. As they ventured deeper into the mountains, they encountered a fork in the path. Both paths looked equally treacherous, and the king found himself at a loss. It was then that Pip, who had been unusually quiet, suddenly sprang forward, barking excitedly. He ran towards the path on the left, stopping every few steps to look back at the king, as if urging him to follow. Trusting his loyal companion, King Alaric led the rescue party along the path Pip had chosen. They walked for what seemed like hours, their hope dwindling with each step. Just as they were about to give up, they heard a faint cry for help. With renewed energy, they rushed forward and found the missing villagers trapped at the bottom of a ravine. Pip, small but agile, was lowered down the ravine. He reached the villagers, his excited barks a beacon of hope. With Pip's help, the rescue party was able to pull the villagers to safety. Reunited with their loved ones, the villagers spoke of their ordeal and how they had almost given up hope. They were eternally grateful to the king and his loyal dog Pip, who had saved them. The discovery of the villagers, weak but alive, lifted the spirits of the kingdom. The drought, though harsh, eventually ended. The rains returned, replenishing the land and bringing with them a renewed sense of hope. The kingdom of Eldoria slowly began to heal. And so, the tale of the kind King Alaric and his loyal dog Pip was passed down through generations. It became a beloved story in Eldoria, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, kindness and compassion can light the way, and that even the smallest among us can make a world of difference.